If you look at the number of questions from the geography sections, there were around 19 questions from the geography, and if you club it with the economics, like there were questions like Venezuela, there was a question from Venezuela, even total fertility rate. So the total tally goes up to 21 questions from the geography and allied sections, overlapping sections. Now first we'll deal with the ninth question, which belongs to the mapping section. The longest border between two countries in the world is between Canada and USA. See, if you look at the boundary between Canada and USA, it extends for around 9,800 kilometers roughly. Then the second long boundary is between Kazakhstan and the Russian Federation. Okay? So the answer is A. Right? Now we'll move on to the second question. It says, consider the following pairs. First we have the country like Argentina. The reason for being is strongly written here. So reason has to be worst economic crisis, and which is correct. If you look at the South American countries like Venezuela, Argentina, these countries have been going through economic crisis since long. Okay? So this pair is correct. Then Sudan was also in the news. Even I had this point in the classroom itself. So that region, especially Darfur वगैरह जो region है, that was in the news because of the war between the countries. Regular Sudanese जो regular army and the paramilitary, तो civil wars हो रहे थे. So that country was in news because of the civil wars. Now, if you look at the third option, Turkey, the option says it rescinded its membership of the NATO, which is wrong. Turkey was in the news because it obstructed the membership Sweden into the NATO. Turkey, along with the Hungary, those were opposing the entry of Sweden into the NATO. So that was the news. Okay? So this third statement, third pair is wrong. So there is only two pairs. Okay? Now we'll move to the next part. So consider the following statements. The statement first, one says, Suez pipeline is a strategic route for the Persian Gulf oil and natural gas shipments to the Europe. Now we'll read the second and we'll come to the option. Then second statement is Suez pipeline connects the Red Sea with the Mediterranean Sea. See, if you look at both the statements, both statements are correct because Suez pipeline was in the news. See, recently we know that this Middle East region is continuously in the news. There was a Ben Gurion canal, it passes through Israel, and along with that we had the news about Suez pipeline. Now if you look at this Suez pipeline, the Suez pipeline flows through Egypt. Okay? See, this is somewhere here we have the Red Sea, this is the Egypt, and from this Egypt there starts the Suez pipeline, which connects Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Now here we have the Persian Gulf. If you look at the Persian Gulf, here we have the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. So whatever the oil and natural gas shipments are traveling from this Persian Gulf, they enter through this Bab el-Mandeb Strait, they flow through Red Sea, and they finally enter into the Mediterranean Sea. So this was in the news, Suez pipeline. And if you look at the options, these options are like statement 1, sorry. So here the option is both statements, statement 1 and 2 are correct, and the statement 2 explains the statement 1. So the answer is A. Now we'll move to the next part. Next question. Now the next question says, consider the following statements. The Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form. This statement is correct because Red Sea is one of the saltiest water bodies in the world, which has high temperature and low rainfall. Okay? The statement says no water enters the Red Sea from rivers. this statement is also correct because if you look at the geographical conditions of the Red Sea जैसा मैंने आपको बताया था, it is one of the driest part of the world जहाँ पे कोई भी river Red Sea में enter नहीं करती. There are some minor rivers, but those minor rivers, instead of meeting the Red Sea, they just enter into the deltaic portions and they disappear from the deltaic portions. So statement 2 is also correct. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now we'll move to the next question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. The atmosphere is heated more by the incoming solar radiation than the terrestrial radiation. This statement itself is wrong because if you look at the amount of heat which is present in the atmosphere gets most of the heats from the terrestrial radiation. So whatever the outgoing radiations from the Earth's surface is received by this atmosphere. So the statement first is wrong. Look at the statement 2. The carbon dioxide and the other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of the long wave radiation. And if you look at this statement 2, the statement 2 is correct. So the answer is statement 1 is incorrect, but the statement 2 is correct. So answer is D. Okay? We know that the greenhouse gases होते हैं like carbon dioxide, so they are responsible for the absorption of the most of the terrestrial radiations. Okay? So answer is D. Now we'll move to the next part. Consider the following statements. The thickness of the troposphere at the equator is much greater as compared to the poles. This statement is correct because at the equator, heat is transported to the greater heights by the stronger convectional currents. See, if you look at the height of the troposphere in equatorial part and the polar region of the world, we know that in equatorial part, there is an amount of heat which is present much more than the polar region, and hence if you look at the equatorial part of the world, the air is continuously heated and that heated air becomes lighter one. It starts rising towards the upper part of the atmosphere and there forms the convectional currents. So if you see the equatorial part of the world, there is a continuous convectional currents which are responsible for the increased height of this troposphere. Now, vis-a-vis, if you compare it with the polar region, we know that the polar region has much lesser amount of a heat compared to the equatorial part, and hence polar region में आप देखोगे तो polar region में there we have the colder air. Colder air being a denser one, it remains in the lower part of the atmosphere, and hence there is nothing like the convectional currents in the polar part of the world. So the answer is A. Both statement A and 2 are correct, and the statement 2 explains the statement 1 correctly. Right? Got it? Now we'll move to the next part. Now, considering pyroclastic debris and dust, nitrogen compounds and sulfur compounds, how many of the above products of the volcanic eruptions? So answer is all of the 4. See, if you look at the number of materials coming out of the volcanic eruptions, so we have different gases like sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, we have nitrogenous compounds, we have volcanic ash or volcanic dust, which is also called as the cindar, and along with that, we have the pyroclastic debris. Pyroclastic debris is matlab, we call them as tephra material, even volcanic bombs are considered under the pyroclastic debris. So answer is D. Now, the next question. So this question is from climatology. Which of the following is or are correct inference or inferences from the isothermal maps in the months of January? See, we are talking about the month of January. That means we are talking about the winter season. Now, if you look at the temperature distribution during the winter season, we'll read the first statement. The isotherms deviate to the north over the ocean, to the south over the continent. See, if you look at the direction of isotherms over the earth during summer and winter season, suppose I just draw a diagram here. Suppose this is a continent which has been surrounded by the ocean from all the sides. Okay? Now, if I draw the isotherms of the summer season, this is the isotherm of July or summer season. This is a continent. See, remember, this is a continent and these are the oceans. So this is a ocean. Now, if you look at the January isotherm goes like this. Okay? So this is a January isotherm. So that means if you look at the first statement, it says the isotherms deviate to the north over the ocean and to the south over the continent. So here we have the oceanic isotherm and here we have the continental isotherm. And if you look at the deflection, when these isotherms travel from ocean to the continents, they move towards the equator. That means they move towards the south. So hence, now we'll see the second statement. The presence of cold oceanic currents, Gulf Stream and North Atlantic Drift. यही पे ये statement wrong होता है. Because if you look at the Gulf Stream and the North Atlantic Drift, these are warm oceanic currents. They are not cold oceanic currents. So they make the North Atlantic Ocean colder and the isotherms bend towards the north. Nothing important in this statement. Okay? So answer 2 is right. So statement 2 is wrong. So answer is A. Okay? Now, next part, which of the following countries are well known as the largest cocoa producers in the world? See, this topic we had discussed in the class only when I was discussing about this G.C. Leong book. So there itself I had discussed about this Ghana and even the Cote d'Ivoire. If you look at the Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, these are the West African countries which are majorly known for production of cocoa. Even along with the Nigeria, this is also known as a land of oil palm. So oil palm, cocoa, these are the plantation crops which are important in the Western Africa. So answer is C. Now, this is a question from Indian geography, especially mapping part of the Indian geography. The question says, with a reference to the Himalayan rivers joining the Ganga downstream of the Prayagraj from the which one of the following sequences is correct? So if you go through simply the Atlas of India, you'll come to know the answer is B. Gomti, the westernmost, then comes the Ghagra, then Gandak, and the Kosi, which is the easternmost, right? So answer is B. Then we'll move to the question number 57, which is from topic of weathering. Consider the following statement. Interesting question. Here UPSC had given 3 statements. Okay? The says rainfall is reasons for weathering of the, which is correct. Because of the rainfall, we have a chemical weathering. Okay? Chemical weathering has solution process, carbonation, oxidation, reduction. So the second statement is rainwater contains carbon dioxide in a solution. See, time and again I had discussed in the class, whenever we have a atmospheric carbon dioxide, it dissolves in the water, and here we have the formation of carbonic acid. So wherever we have action of a carbonic acid, there we have a chemical weathering. So statement 2 is correct. Now come to the statement 3. It says the rainwater contains atmospheric oxygen, and this statement is also correct because if you look at the atmospheric oxygen which is present in the air, and along with that it is present in the water also, so that oxygen is responsible for the oxidation process, and hence the option is A. Both statement 2 and 3 are correct, and both explains the statement 1. Okay? So now we'll move to the next part. Yeah. So question number 58. It was also a simple question. It was from the world physical geography, especially the mapping part of the world. Consider the following countries like Finland, Norway, Germany, and Russia. How many of the above countries have border with the North Sea? So answer is B. See, if you look at the border of Germany and Norway, they share a boundary or a maritime boundary with the North Sea. So answer is B. Now, the next part, next question number 59. Consider the following information. There we have a waterfall, we have a region, and the river on which this, there we have a waterfall. So the first waterfall is Dhuandhar waterfall. It lies over the Narmada, but if you look at the region, it does not belong to the Malwa part of the MP. Most of the students must have taken it as a Malwa region, but remember, Malwa lies to the northern part of the Jabalpur. Okay? So this is a wrong pair. Then second pair, Hundru waterfall, which lies over this Suvarna Rekha and it belongs to the Chota Nagpur part of the India, yeah, eastern part of India. This is a correct statement. Okay, so correct pair. Then third, Girisappa. It lies in a western Ghat, but remember it is on Sharavati. It is the highest waterfall in India, which is on Sharavati. So this third pair is also wrong. So answer is only 1. Okay? Now, this is also one of the simplest question from the geomorphology section of geography. Here we have a region. We have the name of the mountain range and a type of a mountain. Okay? First, the region is Central Asia and the mountain given is Vosges. Remember, we have already discussed in the class Vosges and Black Forest. Those are the block mountains which belong to the European part of the world. So, this is a wrong statement. It's not a fold mountain, it's a block mountain. Okay? Then second statement, region is Europe, name of the mountain is Alps and it is a block mountain. Everyone, the simplest question, everyone knows that Alps is one of the type of the fold mountains in the world. Okay? So this pair is also wrong. Now look at the third one. The region is North America, mountain is Appalachians and this is a fold mountain, which is absolutely correct. Okay? Then fourth one, South America, Andes, we know that Andes is the second highest fold mountain in the world. It is the longest mountain range in the world and it is the fold mountain. So answer is B, only 2. Now we'll move to the next question. See, with reference to the water vapor, which of the following statements is or are correct? Water vapor, it is a gas and the amount of which decreases with the altitude. Now we know that the amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere is called as the humidity. And what is the source of this humidity? It is nothing but evaporation and the transpiration of the water from the water surfaces and the tree surfaces. So if you look at the amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere, as we move up in the atmosphere, this water vapor goes on decreasing. So the first statement is correct. Now second one, its percentage is maximum at the pole. Just now I had mentioned that the amount of water vapor present in atmosphere depends on the transpiration and the evaporation. And the basic source for evaporation and transpiration is the heat, is the amount of heat which is received over the Earth's surface. And we know that this, the equatorial part of the Earth has the maximum amount of, or the tropical region of the world has the maximum amount of evaporation of the water. So the percentage of water vapor maximum is not at the poles, but it is in the tropical part of the world, or we can say at the equatorial part of the world. So answer is A. Okay? Now the next part. So question number 73. It's a tricky question. Consider the following description. Okay? The first statement says the annual and daily range of a temperature is low. Okay? Second statement says the precipitation occurs throughout the year. Okay? And the third statement says precipitation varies between 50 centimeters and 250 centimeters. See, if you look at the description, you can easily understand, you can easily be confused as an option as an equatorial climate. But remember, the answer is not equatorial climate. It is the marine west coast type of a climate, which is British type of a climate. See, if you look at the equatorial type of a climate, we know that there is an annual temperature range which is slightly low, but if you look at the precipitation, yes, there is a rainfall throughout year, but during the rainfall, we have 2 rainfall peaks here. And if you look at the amount of rainfall in the equatorial, it is much more than the 250 centimeters. So the answer is marine west coast type of a climate, which is also called as British type of a climate. Okay? See, if you look at the different climatic zones in the world, we know that this is a British Columbian part of Canada. Okay? Here we have the Rockies mountain. So this region has a British type of a climate. So southern part of the So if you look at the western part of the North America, and then southern part of the New Zealand, then southern part of the Southern America, even the Tasmania, this whole region has a marine west coast of a coast type of a climate, or which is also called as a British type of a climate, right? Then remember, so answer is D, not A. Then the next question is, with reference to the Coriolis force, which of the following statement is or are correct? Coriolis force increases with the increase in a wind's velocity. It is right. Coriolis force, we know that it is a deflective force, and as we move from equator to pole, it goes on increasing because there is a difference of angular momentum in the equatorial part of the world and the polar part of the world. And because of this difference in the angular momentum, we know that there is a deflection of the winds. We know that in the northern hemisphere, winds deflect towards the right, and in southern hemisphere, winds deflect towards the west. Okay? So the second statement, minimum at the poles and it is absent at the equator. This statement is also, so statement first correct, and even the second statement is correct. We know that this Coriolis force is minimum at the poles and it is nil or it is zero at the equator, and this is the reason why most of the time tropical cyclones are not formed along the equator but just north and the south of the equator. Okay? So the answer is C. Then this is a simple question. On the 21st, which is solstice, every year, which of the following latitudes experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours? See, we know that during 21st of June, if this is the sun, this is the Tropic of Cancer. We know that during 21st of June, sun shines over the Tropic of Cancer, and hence, if you look at the duration of day is more than 12 hours at the Tropic of Cancer, and along with that, this is the Arctic Circle which inclines to the sun. So, Arctic Circle region and the Tropic of Cancer region will experience sunlight of more than 12 hours. So answer is D, 2 and 4. Okay? Then this simple question, I think this must be the last one. One of the following regions has the world's largest tropical peatland. Now, what is this peatland? Peatland is nothing but a wetland area or the waterlogged area where we have the partially decomposed organic matter. And whenever we have a partially decomposed organic matter, there we have the formation of a peat. So this peat will give rise to lignite, bituminous and anthracite in future. Okay? We had seen in this part during the coal formation process. Okay? Which holds about 3 years worth of global carbon emissions from the fossil fuels, and the possible destruction of which can exert detrimental effect on the global climate. Which one of the following denotes that region? So answer is Congo Basin. See, the Kuwait Centrale part of this Congo Basin is the largest tropical peatland in the world. Okay? So the answer is B. So that's all from the geography section. So thank you so much.